distribution of power. And guess what? The ethnic group in power will seldom recognize the degree to which they're betraying power because their eyes are blinded. This is why in my classes I try to teach students about what we call white privilege. That there's certain privileges and assumptions that white people have that they don't know that in exercising them, it's a betrayal of power because of a dominant group in a society that is imposing their power structure on a minority culture. Okay? Now, I've done it ethnically. It also can happen gender. Where in gender, one gender holds the power over another gender and uses that power to fulfill their personal agenda rather than to empower the other agenda. Got it? Okay, that's betrayal trauma. And the other is the trauma of long-term duress. Okay? Now, duress is a term we use for negative stress. You know, there's a word for positive stress, eustress, but this is duress, negative stress. And this is the notion of negative stress. So I want you to hear this. It's really important. Negative stress is like water torture. Okay? One drop won't kill you, but another, and another, and another. And what do we know? That even granite can be worn away over time by a single drop of water hitting it repeatedly. So what I'm meaning by that is somebody that communicates something to you or does something to you that in itself isn't that big of a deal, but over time, the accumulated effect of that happening has worn you down and wounded you. So if a parent called you stupid once, then came to you and said, I'm so sorry, that was inappropriate, that wouldn't wound you. That, in fact, could be a eustress. It could teach you about forgiveness. But what if your parent always referred to you as stupid? No matter what you did, you're stupid. They even nickname you. Your dad says, you're witless. So they start calling you wit. See? So for the rest of your life, you're wit. Do you know that that little one-time event that happens over and over and over again can create for people a negative view of self, a negative view of God, and a negative view of others? Okay. Because of it happening over and over and over again. Now, I often tell people, I grew up in a very, very hard-working, bare-knuckled, hey, what are you looking at society. My family were coal miners and steel workers, not overly schooled. They were educated, but not schooled. I think my dad went to 4th or 5th grade or something like that. Hard wrestling, hard fighting, not particularly up on healthcare and mental health dynamics. They would often nickname people in our family according to their worst quality. And then that's what you carried for the rest of your life. I have an aunt who's known by one name, Chub. Chub. I have an uncle who passed last year at 80-some. He is known as Hook because he has a huge nose that has a hook on the end. I had another uncle who had a terrible weight problem, and his name was Fat. I didn't even know he had a name. I didn't know his name for years and years and years because he was Uncle Fat. Is this making...
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for them it's no big deal. But for the person that carries it, it impacts the way they view themselves, the way they view others, the way you follow that. One time, not a problem. Over time, serious problem. How are we doing so far? Now, I've listed 5 traumas. Do you think this is in the church? It's all over, right? It's all over the church. And also, because, I want you to understand this is very important, because we often respond to chaos with rigidity, guess where people keep this stuff? Deeply hidden. They don't want to bring it up because they don't want projected, they don't want judged. So they hide it. But guess what it does in hiding? It grows. It grows. And you try to distance from it, but you really can't. So then you get into pain-killing routines that can really hurt people's lives. Okay, we're going to take our break. I've been at this for almost an hour and a half. But before we do, hallelujah for the break. In another hour. Yeah. But I just need to know generally, how are we doing so far? Great. Is this making sense to you? Okay, we'll take a 15-minute break.